Is this Group A or Group B, sir?
This is Group B.
So Group A has not yet turned up.
Not yet.
Do you know who's in charge of Group A, sir?
I do, yeah.
Yes. Could you just actually say who it was?
It should be easy, no, it's the shops.
That's right. What's his name, sir?
Callum.
No, sir.
Oh, Mr.
His
Hickson.
last name.
Mr. Hickson.
Mr. Hickson. Wouldn't that be the principal?
No.
Oh, excellent. That makes it even better. It was even better if he was the principal. Good afternoon, boys and girls.
Good afternoon, Mr. Blacksmith. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Quiet, you blockheads, you have got no idea. Typical boys have to be heard. I do not need to hear you and you will call me sir. Good afternoon, lad.
Good afternoon, sir.
Much better, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon,
Sir.
sir.
Really not good enough, ladies and gentlemen, and I have a good mind to make me do this again, but unfortunately I am running out of time, so I have to be something that I'm not, and that is nice. Why do we do this, sir and mum? Do you understand why, boys and girls?
Yeah.
Who said yeah?
Yes,
The
sir.
answer is yes, sir. Explain, sir, why we do this. Why? Is not the way to start a sentence. Why? I'm talking to this young lad, he's going to do it because I know he can do it. Yes, sir. No, the young lad. Go on, be brave, speak up. I'll help you out. I'll help you out. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we do sir and mum here is simply because, well, you are in our time, in the 1800s. So, yes, boys and girls, a very good effort. Nice and bright, calling me sir, most of you. However, there is the reason, and the reason is, in our time, when you're talking to someone, you would indeed call that person, if he is a gentleman, not knowing his name, sir. It's as easy as that. And if it was a lady, of course, you would call her ma'am. So in our time, you would never ever call anyone by their first name. That would not be appropriate. And your best friend, if you saw them on the street and you were speaking to them, you would still call them by their surname. So when you children were growing up in our time, we had a book of etiquette. So you would learn how to behave in society and what was expected of you when you were in public. So it wasn't a place that was very easy to grow up in as children. It was also a place of what I call, ladies and gentlemen, a word not known to society at the moment, and that is properness. A good word, is it not? But it doesn't exist. So yes, so we want to give you a feel of what it was like to be in that time. Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning, sir.
Aha, got you, it's afternoon. Well, about time you turned up, Mr. Hicks.
Sorry, we were at the front.
That's no good excuse, you don't get an invitation here. But I'm thinking, sir, it's more that you were getting yourself a coffee rather than standing out. Yes, I'm on board, lad. Yes, no good hiding it. Hurry up and sit down, boys and girls, I have to get on with this. Right, I have to be very quick. So first of all, I'm going to say to everybody, welcome, and point out that you are in a place known as the Smelting Works. Now this is a place that belongs to a large mining company, but the reason they have this room is rather simple. The thing is, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, when you find gold and you take it from the ground, that gold is going to have silver, copper and other metals mixed in with it. That means that that gold you find is not pure gold, and there lies your problem. Because to sell the gold you find, to make money from it, you need bullion, and bullion is pure gold. So for the large mining companies to sell their gold and to get the best price means they have to have a room like this, simply to remove the silver and the copper that you find in gold when you take it from the ground. So that's my job. I'm going to explain that very quickly. We are going to see gold later on. It wasn't found by itself. By now we're roughly around 1860. We are at the third and final stage of mining called quartz mining, because that's where we're going to find gold. Gold will not exist by itself by now. To find gold, you have to tunnel approximately 300 feet into the ground, and you're looking for huge walls made up of this particular material, quartz. Because we know that inside that quartz, if we are lucky, we will find very small pieces of gold. We do go down to over 3,000 feet, roughly a kilometre in the ground here at Ballarat, which is rather amazing, considering we only use big shovels, black powder and a bit of steam power. But of course, having found those large layers of quartz, we do have a problem, and that is we need to get that to the surface so we can get the gold out of the quartz. There is only one way, quite simple. You just blow the large walls to pieces with black powder, and that creates the tiny bits you see here. We bring them to the surface, and then to get the gold from the quartz, we will crush. And in the building next door called the battery house, batteries of large metal hammers do indeed simply crush the quartz, turning it into a powder, very much like you see there. Water is used to wash the dirt and the gold over the tables that you see in the battery house, and by doing that is how we will separate the gold from the dirt and also gather up that gold that we need to purify. Having done that, they will then pass the gold on to me, the industrial blacksmith. My job is to remove the materials, the silver and the copper. Again, a very simple process, but also quite a few problems. Once I get the gold, I'm going to place it into a bowl like this. We call this the crucible. We're going to add flux, which is a powder substance. We place that into the furnace, and we begin to what we call smelt the gold. Smelting is melting, and that's why my job's so simple. But I'm just going to pause for a second, because I do know that the gold is just about ready to come out of the furnace. You're sitting out there, hopefully with a camera, and you want to take a photo, so now would be a good time to do that. Whilst doing so, I'll finish telling you my story. So to melt gold, we take it to a temperature of 1,063 degrees Celsius. And because of that very high temperature, I realised that not only am I going to melt the gold, but also those materials I was speaking about that I need to remove from the gold. Now remember, gold is heavy, and being so, once we melt everything down, the gold is going to go to the bottom of the crucible, which will force the materials we want to remove to the top. They stick to this flux we've added, a powder substance, and that creates a crust, but the crust floats on the gold. We pour the gold out, the crust will go to the back of the crucible, the gold comes out underneath that crust, it is now free of those materials, so what we will be seeing is indeed pure gold. Now that, boys and girls, is what we term to be 99.99% or 24 karat gold. It's the same thing. But by doing that, I've done my job. Now having said that, if you're ready to see some gold, very good for those who said so. The rest of you, not so good. All right, so here we go. This is what it's all about.
Whoa.
So yes, as you can see, it's rather hot. And we are now looking at a hot molten metal.
Oh, wow. That is... Oh, God. That is cool. That is awesome.
So boys and girls, if you do remember, I said gold will melt at 1,063 degrees, but we do face another slight problem, and that is, I also know, as soon as I take the gold out of that furnace, the gold's going to become solid very quickly. Now you saw just how hot things were, but you were thinking 1,063 degrees. But you see, it was not that. It was a hot molten metal around 1,200 degrees. We simply take it to that high temperature just to give ourselves a little bit of extra time. But as you can see, we really don't have a lot of time because the gold is indeed quite solid. Now there is one more thing we have to understand, and that is this. Gold is a metal, but you must remember that it is also an amazing piece of metal. And the thing that makes gold amazing, may I point out, is not that it costs a lot of money, if that's what you're thinking. It is simply that gold can do things that other metals are not quite capable of, which is the ability to conduct heat. Gold is one of the best conductors of heat that we have. So this piece, it may have been around 1,200 degrees or so a moment ago, but that temperature has now dropped down to about 900 degrees. 900 degrees is rather warm, as you can see, just the heat coming off the gold is what's setting that stick on fire. And I also know if I were to leave this piece of gold just sit here as it is and let it cool naturally, we are waiting for about 2 hours. I know you do not have 2 hours, there's too much to see and do. So what I will do now is simply place the gold into that tub of water just to show you one more thing about gold. So I did indeed take this gold to a temperature of 1,200 degrees Celsius. And the reason I did that was I wanted to give myself time to pour the gold into that mould before it became solid. I did say the temperature would drop to 900 degrees, or thereabouts. You saw that 900 degrees was hot enough to set a stick of wood on fire. But more importantly, I spoke about the properties of gold, one of which is that ability to conduct heat. In actual fact, gold is one of the best conductors of heat that we have. And because you also know that water cools, we put those two pieces of information together, which points out that that piece of gold sitting there should now be quite safe to hold. The question you have to ask yourselves is simply, is it? Now I know you're here to learn, boys and girls, and if I've asked a question, I am also bound to give you the answer. Now, it's a very easy way to do that, because we do not just say, we do. And so just to prove to you that perhaps that's not a very good idea. Boys and girls, if you remember I said gold will conduct heat extremely well. So, sitting in that tub, the gold should have had enough time to conduct more heat through itself into that water. So instead of picking up the gold and perhaps hurting myself, all I really have to do is find out what the temperature of the water is, realising if the water is at least warm, what I've said about gold conducting heat is also correct. But there's a slight problem with that, because you see, I also know that this water is cold. The water's cold, yet the gold's safe. That's a huge problem. So I suppose the most important question you should really ask yourselves is simply, if the gold is safe to hold, what has happened to all that heat? But I'm sure you saw the answer if you saw the steam coming out of the tub.
Yes.
And because most of the heat has gone up in the steam, yet as you know, water does cool, and gold will conduct heat extremely well, which means this piece of gold, yes, it was quite safe to hold a while ago. So to finish this demonstration, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I suppose all that's left for me to do now is to simply shut. You weren't listening, all right. So we'll show you a piece of gold that is 3 kilos in weight, that is 99.99% pure. It is worth today just over 170,000 Australian dollars. However, also, as you would understand, a piece of gold that is not mine. Now, I have to tell you that because Sovereign Hill owns this piece of gold, and I know you're sitting out there thinking to yourselves, I would love to get my hands on that piece of gold. But because it belongs to Sovereign Hill and not me, they have told me that I am not allowed to let people hold the gold. Now, as you would understand, I have to do as I'm told. But may I just point out something, teachers, that I'm sure you'll agree with, although maybe you're not allowed to say, but indeed also a technical point, when I would like to point out that, technically speaking, school children, as we have here, are not people, because you're classified as school children, are you not? And seeing you're called school children, Sovereign Hill only said to me that I'm not allowed to let people hold the gold. There's a bit of a difference there, isn't there?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Yes, sir.
Just a moment. What are you doing this for? What's your problem, young lady? You don't know. Right. Well, I do know that you, and there was another young lady walking past my establishment earlier on with their hands clasped together. That was you. Who was the other young lady? Yes. Well, I think I better have both of you out here. Very nice. I like when I see children who listen to the classes that they have, and you were observing and doing the right thing. So I'm thinking perhaps I'll get you on one end and you on the other end facing the audience. So perhaps you can, now this hand, I'll get that hand because you might need two hands. All right, just make sure you can see the gold. Rightio, look around for some cameras because you're being a bit famous at the moment.
Heavy? If it's heavy, Anna Bethany is heavy. Yes.
Very good. We do have to hurry along. Thank you, girls. You've done a great job. Now, I do realise, you may sit down, I do realise you're young ladies. And so that means I have to get a bloke. Now, no good putting your hands up. I've already chosen my victim. Yes. I mean, child, yes. So now, the group A with Mr. Hicks, who came in late, I realised you're late not because, well, we usually blame the teachers, who may or may not have gone off to get a cup of coffee. However, it's because you most probably were not listening to his instructions. Now you lads seem a bit worried about things, so get down here. Yes. So just between you and me, was Mr. Hicks getting a coffee or were you busy shopping? Yeah, yes, you were shopping, right, I heard that. Okay, and your name?
Joel.
Hey Joel, how about holding some gold?
Okay.
Very good. So the same as the two girls, except a bit different. You'll have that hand to hold it and this hand just to balance it up. Fingers off so I can see the gold, Joel. Right, turn around so you are now famous as well, sir.
This is so heavy.
Excellent, well done. Okay, I might take that back now, Joel. Yeah. And when you get back up there, could you just pass on a message to Mr. Hicks? Tell him I need 20 lines saying that I will not be late, all right? There you go. Thank you, Joel. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I do have to beg your indulgence just for another moment because we have another problem here, and that is we have children who are wagging school. Can't have that. You don't want to? He doesn't have to. You want to have all? Come on. Come on, you can do it. Good, you can. You ready? This is very good. Where are we from? Malaysia. So, good, excellent. Now, boys and girls, while we finish off, can I just say that thank you very much. Good job. It's been a rather delight dealing with all of your school. I've actually had the privilege of doing this demonstration for the whole school. So, well done teachers, they are a delight. But having said that, all I have to do now to finish is say that we do exit through those doors. The reason, another room full of gold. It is also, unfortunately, a room that's called a shop. So just be careful, don't just buy the first shiny thing you see if you're allowed to buy things. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for coming along. Thank you.
There's a bunch of stairs that gold
Right.